Well, it's always fun to lighten the mood and go out with some chuckles, right? So that must mean it's time for our Theater of the Absurd. So let's call on Whitley Yates of Project 21 and Curtis Houck of Newsbusters. All right, so you know Reuters, right? It's a major, solid, apparently, news agency. But like almost every other mainstream media outlet, they veered completely left into lefty wonderland. So they wrote a real story. Really, this was not April 1st, by the way. They wrote a real story about how an Israeli drag queen and a Syrian belly dancer put on a show in Berlin to bring peace and harmony to Jews and Arabs. I have tears in my eyes, Whitley.
I think you're probably the only one. I'm so confused how you're mixing these two, but it's honestly just them attacking yet another culture. And so seeing drag shows like this and mixing a culture that is vehemently against it is just absurdity.
Isn't that right? It's so true. Curtis, you a little choked up or no?
Yeah, I was going to say it's very emotional when I think about the fact that if this took place in Gaza, cranes would be present. You know, we would have cranes and this would take place on a rooftop, you know, for the crowds to, you know, give their judgment about the quality of the performance of these drag queens.
Yeah.
That just is emotional to me because that would just, it would just be so poignant by the sea there in the backdrop of all that. No, in all seriousness, I mean, this is so ridiculous. I mean, this is what's so crazy. When you see these protests going on in the streets of New York and elsewhere, there was one outside of the Biden, Obama, Clinton one where it was a Palestinian and a trans flag together on the same flagpole.
They don't even see the irony in it. They would be killed if they did that in any of those countries, or most of them, I should say. You know, we've heard a lot of nonsense from Kamala Harris over the course of her VP, but nothing quite as stupid as this moment during a recent interview with Spectrum News in North Carolina about a clean energy event. So enjoy.
Do you know, okay, a bit of a history lesson. Do you know that the women's teams were not allowed to have brackets until 2022? Think about that and talk about progress, you know, better late than never, but progress and what that has done, because of course when, you know, I had a bracket, it's not broken completely, but I won't talk about my bracket.
So we know she skipped English class. Now we know she skipped history classes as well, because the NCAA women's basketball brackets have been a thing since the first Division I women's tournament back in 1982. That's 40 years ago, over 40 years ago. I think, Curtis, she should kind of stick to topics she really knows and cares about, like, I don't know, third trimester abortions, sex change operations for children, those kind of things.
Yeah, to paraphrase the great Red Steez on Twitter, he had a line that, you know, she's out there acting like a drunk mom on a bunch of White Claws, you know, talking with her hands, trying to make sense. See, look there. I mean, it's amazing. It's unfortunate that we can't see the interviewer's face, because I would want to see what his face was during all of this. He'd be like John Krasinski from The Office, trying to find a camera to stare into to be like, can you believe this lady? I mean, this is the same sort of thing with the left, where they're like, you know, Republicans want to prevent people from voting, especially black people and brown people and Asians and all kinds of people from voting. And you're like, wait, what? They don't want you to drink water. What?
Yeah.
What? The left just makes up all these kinds of claims, and it's just, again, it's like absurd. You comedy writers, but you know, this is real life for these people.
It is. Hey, you know, Whitley, the prayers of these prisoners have been answered. So you got inmates in an upstate New York prison. They filed a federal lawsuit claiming that their religious rights were violated for not being allowed to go outside and view the eclipse on Monday. And they reached a settlement, and only these 6 have permission to see it on Monday. And what's funny is one of them, who says his religious rights have been violated, is an avowed atheist. So, you know, as the old saying goes, if you do the crime, you'll do the time, but you actually will get to see the eclipse or something like that.
I thought that they were at least Christians and wanted to marvel at God's glory on how
Yeah.
all of these things work together in our solar system. But now hearing that one of them is an atheist really begs the question, are they utilizing religion as a tool in the prisons to get things that they're not supposed to necessarily have? And are you placating to the religious people who may actually want to see God's work or God's mercy just so that you can have more outdoor time? I think this entire story is a little crazy.
They
And the
all
fact
are.
that they had to kowtow to them and provide them with this opportunity is really interesting, especially the atheist.
Whitley Yates, Curtis Howe, thank you guys. Appreciate it.